right here. This is King Conan's throne, the throne of Aquilonia. This is awesome. I have waited for a while to see this. So here's what's going on. I had extra money, and I was going in to get Tigra. And I said, if I'm buying Tigra, let's see. If I'm buying Tigra, what else can I get? I have $200. I bought Tigra, and then I looked around, and I found 3 more items, all in stock. No extra charge currently on them. I got them early enough to avoid the extra charges. The 8% that's being added right now, the 8% that's being added to all the Super 7 stuff, I dodged it. I got right before they made that announcement. So I got this and King Conan, Arnold from the movie, and then I got a chair for DC Direct. We'll talk about it later. I got a chair from DC Direct, and yeah, so Tigra, King Conan, the throne, and a chair from DC Direct. So 4 items. I ordered them all, and I was like, here they go. Bring them on. So 4. That was pretty cool, to be fair. And I came in under $200, and I was like, hey, okay, great. This is like, this is when you've reached a point in collecting action figures that, like, how do I put this? You know how normally you get into something and, like, you start out and you buy some Spider-Mans or whatever. I'm just being generalization. And then maybe you need some, like a cool Ghost Rider. And you get some Captain Americas and some Iron Man and a Hulk and so on and so forth. And as you go, after a while, you get that Ghost Rider, and that Ghost Rider comes with a motorcycle. And you're like, oh man, vehicles are cool. So maybe you expand that the littlest bit, and you go looking for a couple of other things. And maybe you end up with a Batmobile or a Batwing or something like that. But there comes a point in time when you've got a lot of cool stuff, but you don't have, like, cool stuff for your cool stuff. That almost feels like what this is. Like entering into this part when you're in your collecting habits. I bought a chair for a guy. That I haven't even replaced my chair. And I bought King Conan's throne. This, I'm hoping this is really cool, because it certainly looked really cool, and I've got high hopes to be able to put this in my castle background and kind of recreate this image exactly. Like, that's what I'm hoping to do. And then after that, it will go on the shelf and be really, really cool as a throne in general. Let's open it. Let's do it. Okay. Well, here it is. There's these little pieces of plastic here. I was curious about how those worked. I think this chair comes off. It does. Okay. So there. There's these little plastic pegs. Let's pull those off. And here it is. That is the stand. It's very simple, but it will work for a bunch of different concepts. It's got these little pegs here and whatnot for actually putting the throne on, so the throne will sit in place. The throne goes on like this. So it's got a peg here, and it's got a peg here. Very much like any other action figure has feet. That's really what this is. You don't have to worry necessarily about front and back, because they're really the same when it comes to it. These don't move. They're not actually hanging parts. I was kind of curious about this, if these would be like that. You could kind of argue there's a front and back, because the cushion is slightly different here. And one might argue that if his butt is supposed to be there, then I should turn this way. And that probably makes the most sense, because then when he sits on it, his feet will be on the floor, and you want this to be back, and this indent, I'm guessing, is for Conan to sit, specifically right here. Otherwise, it looks great. Like, there's a lot of detail, and I wish this camera showed it off a little better, but, like, there's a lot of detail intricate in here. Like, a lot of engraving and stuff like that right in there, which is really, really cool. It is way more detailed than I was expecting, if you want the truth of it. That's a solid gold color. This has a type of texture feeling to it, so it kind of feels and looks like it's kind of like a leather, which is cool. It does come with this, which this, in all honesty, I could do with or without. It is just kind of a cool effect, and it's got like a little thing right here so that it can actually sit on the floor and be kind of indented, but it's not like you plug it in anywhere. It is a tiny, tiny little peg hole that's not even really a hole. It's just enough to kind of put it in there and make sure that it won't fall over for the most part once it's leaning against something. Like, you lean it up against this, and then it kind of taps into the floor, and that kind of gives it like a little lip to hit against, and then it kind of sits there. That's really what this is. It's kind of cool, but we could easily live without this. But it is cool to get stuff regardless. And that's all this is. So now comes the part where I'm brutally honest. For me, this is amazing, and it's fantastic, and I love it, and it will do everything I want it to do. For everybody else, this chair probably will cost you over $54 at this point now. Even in stock, with an 8% added price as a Super 7 Ultimates, you're probably looking at $60, $62, $63 base. That is not including tax. This is probably now close to a $70 chair. That is a rough buy for almost anybody, because you figure you got to get the chair. That used to be $54. Now there's a surcharge added on top of it, plus tax, plus shipping and handling. This could be sitting close to $70 now. That's a lot. I will not say that it isn't. For me, getting lucky enough to have got it when I got it, it wasn't that big of a hit. But one could still argue, even though I got it at $54, one could argue that's a lot for what it is. It's just a chair. And unless you are the kind of fan that I am, you watch Conan, you play Conan, you read Conan. I mean, that's a big thing for me, okay? So for me, this is fantastic. My dog wants out, so we're going to have to pause here after a bit and let her out. But I am curious. We'll use broken Tigra for this test. Put her hand down here. She looks awkward on it because it's so big, but I'm wondering if I could do something else with it. Just sitting, Tigra ends up looking a lot like this, okay? And she doesn't even belong on the chair, but it gives you an idea of the scale and how big. This is my broken Tila here. Tigra, not Tila. But I bet you could pull off something where you kind of lay her on the chair. This is absolutely terrible right now, what we're trying to accomplish with one hand trying to do. But you get the idea. It's big enough that if you wanted to do some scenes with some other characters, you could get things like Vampirella and whatnot onto that chair and it would work. Since I have not unboxed King Conan yet, I don't know what he will look like on the throne. But that's just a matter of time. I love it. It works for me. Keep in mind what it's going to run you if you decide to try this as well. That's what I've got to say about the chair.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.